Yo, what's up, everybody? We're back with the Wolves In podcast. So before we get started, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button. So first thing I want to talk about today is competition. So competing in Jiu Jitsu, competing in MMA, or any type of martial art tournament. Yesterday we had Ryan on the podcast where he was talking about Jiu Jitsu and egos. So let's just dive right into it. So what does it take to compete in a jiu-jitsu tournament or MMA tournament or any martial arts? First, you're going to have to find a good gym, right? So you want the gym to be somewhat of a competitive school where there is competitors there, so you can start picking their brains and see what their experiences are with competing. The second part is getting in shape and learning techniques to compete, right? So you want to start with your basics, especially if you're doing like just a basic jiu-jitsu. If you're planning on going MMA, you're going to have to learn your ground game and your stand-up game, right? So let's just say you get all this training in and you're about to compete. So you see a flyer up on the internet and you said, yeah, I want to sign up for that competition. So no matter what the competition is, you have to be conditioned physically for the competition, especially if you're looking to place. If you are just going in it for experience and not expecting to place or not wanting to place, or you just don't care if you place or not, I mean, you still want to be somewhat conditioned. With all the training you've got, you should have conditioning. But when I competed, I like to go a little extra and get that conditioning in, especially if you're dieting. Dieting, if you're weighing in, like I walk around at, back then I was at 220 walking around. I had cut down to 205 or 185 before competition. Now I sit between 240 on a good day, 260, right? So for me to cut down to 205, is that going to happen, especially at my age? Probably I could do it, but do I want to do it? Probably not, right? So I'd rather compete at a heavy weight. So cutting down to a lighter weight will help you out, get physically prepared, especially, you're going in and you want to, they're going to weigh you. So if you're competing at 185, they're going to weigh you, make sure you're at 185. So you're not going to really be able to go over, especially with the amateur stuff. They're still gonna weigh you in. So that's how it was when I was competing. I'm not sure how the jiu-jitsu tournaments work now. I know the jiu-jitsu tournaments back then, you had to cut weight. And so what I did is I would do the extra mile. So I would go wake up, go to work, do what I had to do, and then spend 3 or 4 hours in my MMA gym, or doing techniques, even if it was for a jiu-jitsu tournament, doing techniques. So I would learn the ground game, or some days I would do wrestling, and then other days I was doing, the ground and pound stuff for MMA, or there was other days I was doing jiu-jitsu, and then we would do like the wrestling round robin where we were just continually just going and burning each other out. Especially if you had a fight coming up, you would stay in the middle of the ring. They would just throw a fresh new body every time at you to get you ready for that competition, so you're physically ready. So after all that was over, I would go home, eat a little bit, and then head out for a run again. So I would hit like a 2 or 3 mile run at night, just to get my cardio up a little bit, and then also to try to cut weight. So a lot of the times I was doing, and you don't follow my diet because everybody's diet's different, but I did a lot of chicken and watermelon and water. That was pretty much it. I did some pineapple just to help me with my sugar intake, especially if I was craving sweets or something. I would do a little bit of pineapple to help me out with that, and I got that from like a bodybuilder method from a pro bodybuilder who told me to try some pineapple to help me with the sugar to cut the weight. So I stayed away from a lot of carbs because for me coming in, I knew carbs were bad for me. However, I did drink a lot of Gatorade to keep myself hydrated, and a lot of water. I don't know if Gatorade was a good idea, but it worked for me. I'm not saying it's going to work for you, right? I'm not a nutritionist. I'm definitely not going to be giving you diet tips, right? So I'm just saying what worked for me. So after I had all that, and like if I was hungry, I would eat something small just to keep me going for the next day. And then sometimes I was fasting back then. This is back in '06, '05, '06, '07. So I would fast a little bit. But I was also a lot younger. I was in my early 20s, so it's easier for me to cut that weight. I hardly ever did lift weights during that time. I did a lot of body weight workouts like pull-ups, burpees, jumping jacks, sit-ups, um, a lot of dips. So I would do those things to help me prepare and keep some size on. If I ever did lift weights, it was super light, but the more muscle mass I had, the more I knew it would come in heavier. Um, did a ton of sit-ups. For me, I wanted the washboard abs, so did tons of sit-ups. So I was able to cut down to the 180s. I was definitely seeing the abs come in. So that's a little bit what I did for that. So the other part is when you're gonna go sign up and getting ready for these tournaments, you got to remember, back in the early days, there was a lot of competition. There weren't too many gyms around. A lot of people just wanted to compete and try to make it or try to earn a name for themselves. Like I spoke yesterday on the podcast, for me, I felt like there was a lot of basic stuff that was going on, especially with Jiu Jitsu. I didn't really see too much like the evolution of Jiu Jitsu the way it is now. So now it's crazy. Like people are doing some crazy moves out there, which is cool, super cool to see. But coming back in Jiu Jitsu now, it's kind of crazy for me to see like how well evolved, right? But so you're going to want to keep up with the game. Just keep it going. Keep studying the videos. Keep listening to your coaches. So right when you're going to go and you weigh in, you're going to be tired. You're going to want to hydrate. Just because you cut weight, you're going to be hungry. So don't do what I did. I starved myself a lot. Then I would drink tons of electrolytes like Pedialytes to hydrate myself, my body, which was probably, cutting that much weight. For me, I felt like I would get weak really fast. And then sometimes before the competition, I would go and eat. One time I even ate really heavy, so it kind of slowed me down. One other thing I do not suggest you do is take any type of pre-workout. I did that one time during a competition, and it really just, I was up and I was waiting for a jiu-jitsu tournament at the time, and then so I got there super early. I was really up my energy level, and then waiting around because some of these tournaments are long and you just got to wait around, and which sucks, right? Like I always felt like, not to get off topic, but I always felt like the adults should go first, right? But they're always making the kids go first. So I always felt like adults should be first, just to kind of get over it, because you're really cutting weight and you're really trying to place in these competitions. But that's the way I feel. I don't know how you guys feel about that. So I would cut weight, drink this hydration, which was really bad because, just going back with the pre-workout, I felt like even though I was hydrated, like the pre-workout made me go really high, then I crashed. And so when it came time for me to compete, I was feeling really weak, low energy, just because of that crash. And like I said, this is early 2000s. So the pre-workouts were barely coming out. There wasn't too many studies on them, I don't believe. So you're going to want to just prepare yourself mentally. Don't take anything like thinking that you're going to go in there and give you a quick jump start. I don't feel like it's going to help you. The nerves are going to kick in, especially the night before. If you're doing an MMA fight, you're definitely going to be nervous the night before because the next day you're preparing yourself to get punched in the fucking face. So being nervous is 100% normal. I don't know how a lot of people handle it. I know that even with myself or with the fighters that I coached, I would, we kind of like hang out and try to like get some rest, sleep it off. Sometimes you'll get nervous, you might puke, sometimes you might get the runs because it is nerves. So getting all these things happening, I don't think it's really talked about so much. Like you might vomit or you might get the runs, right? So that is also like dehydrating your body. It's nerves kicking in. If you're not scared, then you're just pretty much. People always say they're not scared is lying because everyone's scared before they go into a competition or a tournament. So you're gonna want to hydrate yourselves a little bit more. Make sure that you get some really good music going. You like whatever music you like. Kind of tune everything out, tune everyone out. Especially like if you're dating, that's another thing. It's like if you're dating, you're gonna want to like just kind of hold off on doing anything. Like you might have to tell the girlfriend or the wife, like you're gonna have to be by yourself that night, the night before, just to kind of get mentally prepared. Or like for me, it was my younger 20s, so I would travel and I would stay in a hotel room, and I would just cut everything off. Even if my friends with me and my boys, they would stay in separate rooms, and I would just try to mentally prepare myself. Um, so you're gonna want to like really be ready for the next day, because if you're going out to a competition, there's going to be people there who are ready to smash, right? So, like I said, being nervous is 100% normal. Just zoning out, focus, try to do some meditation, try to stretch, keep yourself busy, um, and just try to keep yourself warm and be ready to work, right? This is what you train to do. You train up to this point to get to a certain level, right? Even if you're wrestling, like when I coach wrestling, I would tell my wrestlers that were nervous, like this is 100% normal. You train this hard to get this far. Now it's time to go smash and kick ass. Um, so having a good coach by your side is gonna help you, right? Like I talked in a lot of previous videos, I took my friends with me to be my coaches because back then I had left my school, my MMA school, my dojo. So the gym I was at, and I started training myself. So you want to find a good coach that's going to have your back. Don't do what I did. Don't take your friends and think you're going to get somewhere, especially friends that don't know what's going on. Especially if you're going to MMA fight, you need a good person that's going to know how to take care of your cuts. I think back then it was camo, so you're going to want to, and they had a bunch of smokers. So you could possibly get cut or knocked out. So especially for those MMA fights, you want to have a good cut man. You want to have somebody who knows what they're doing in that corner. You want to have that coach to guide you, that's going to be yelling things out at you that you need to do to get out of certain moves. Even with the Jiu Jitsu tournament, you want to have a good coach by your side. If you don't have a good coach or you feel like you don't have a good coach, you should definitely start looking for a new school, right? Especially if your coaches are not going with you to these competitions and in your corner to guide you, right? Some places where like they might not go, some of these coaches, because they're busy. I would definitely find a new school. That's just my opinion. I don't know what their opinions are. They might disagree with me, but my personal opinion is that your coaches should be by your side. So anytime I coached fighters or wrestlers or whatever it was, I was always making sure I was there with them to guide them through during their walkouts, whatever it was, being behind them on their walkouts. Because when you're walking out, especially with some of the fighters I fought with, that I took for MMA fights, walking out with them and people are talking shit, right? I don't even care if it's amateurs. There's family members talking shit. There's people, I think one of my fighters got called a pretty boy, like he wasn't going to do shit, but dude didn't, was smashing. So you want to make sure their coaches are going to have your back and guide you through it. Don't pay attention to people. Don't pay attention to haters. Just have you're the one that's going on that mat. You're the one that's going in the ring. They're not. They're spectators. You're the one that has the balls enough to step in a ring, to step on a cage, to step on a mat, and be prepared, ready to go to war. I don't even care if it's a jiu-jitsu tournament, wrestling tournament. You're going to war that day with another opponent. You are trying to win. You're trying to place. You're trying to get somewhere. So these are the things you want to prepare for, is really try to get that mental focus. You can do it. All you got to do is have your head in the game, and get there. Start practicing, learn your techniques, be an open book. That's 100%, because if you lose, it's okay. you still have tomorrow, right? You're still walking out of there. You did it. You still went to war. You came back out. You came back healthy. You're alive. So now you can go back to the drawing board and train again and be ready to kick ass again, right? Get your next fight schedule. Start taking a break if you have to. Make sure you're not injured. If it's an MMA fight, if you get a concussion, I believe the rules are now they still give you some time off, right? Even the amateurs now. So you want to take that time off, heal those wounds, and then get right back into it. But don't stop studying video. Don't stop studying or looking things up to better yourself. There was times I would study, watch videos, watch my old matches, watch whatever I did, just to make sure that I knew what I was doing. Especially if I coach wrestling, I would watch the videos, making sure what my wrestlers can improve in, how they can be a better athletes, right? How I can be a better coach, what the mistakes were that were made, so I can come in the next day or come to the next practice and be like, X, Y, and Z, this is what needs to be done. I always have a game plan. Your coach should always have a game plan for you. You should be discussing this game plan and figuring out what you're going to do, right? It's always good, like jiu-jitsu matches, to kind of just watch, see what other people are doing, and then just take it from there. Because eventually one day your arm is going to get raised. You are going to feel that moment where it was like, yeah, I fucking did it. And that's what counts. So I believe in you. Keep going. Keep striving. Thank you for tuning in. Don't forget to hit the subscribe and like button. Wolves Den's out.